What are the best free tools for software testers in 2025? You don't need a massive budget to write great tests, run visual regressions, or check performance. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 powerful tools that are 100% free. And I'll share some tips on where they shine and where they fall short. And if you're just getting started, make sure to grab my free guide, the Top 5 Test Automation Best Practices. It's packed with actionable tips to get the most out of free tools. The link is in the description. Let's start with a tool that every tester should have in their arsenal, Postman. Postman is the industry standard for API testing. It's great for building, sending, and validating API requests. It has built-in scripting for JavaScript, supports environment variables, and can automate entire API test suites, even though I personally haven't tried doing that yet. Okay, so Postman isn't entirely free, but its free tier covers almost all scenarios that you're going to need for your day-to-day testing. Its paid version gets more into like sharing things with your teams and sharing collections of APIs with your teams or with customers or whatnot. But you can get a lot done with the free version. You can get all your get, post, put, and delete requests. You can even automate your tests with their collection runner. However, I have not tried this. I know another coworker of mine was trying to get Postman to work with all their stuff in test automation, and I never saw the final product. I personally wouldn't use Postman for my API automation. I would probably just use regular scripting, maybe PyTest, and then just use their request API and then use like some assertion tool to like validate the results, or just use another command, like another API test suite. But as a tool and for doing manual testing, Postman is excellent. I use Postman almost daily for manually testing things. It's so much easier than just going through the visual stuff. You can just manually test a lot of scenarios really quick, or get things set up to manually verify very quickly without having to go through the UI. And also I've used it for debugging quite a bit. It's easier sometimes to see what the results from an API call are giving you versus trying to figure out where things are happening in the UI and what's being returned, because sometimes that's not visible in the UI, where the bad data is coming from. And also I develop my own test tools, and I have to develop my own little APIs for those. So I use Postman to validate and write my own code, so it's easy to put there. Postman also has a Visual Studio extension. You can install and just run Postman directly from Visual Studio. And I started using the scripting stuff just to make things easier. If I run like one request and I record the value, and then I can set the value in the environment variables to use in the next API call. So it's really useful for doing a lot of tasks. And one super cool thing about it is once you've got the API set up and working and you want to include that in your test code, you can export any of these API calls that you set up in Postman, export them to whatever language that you're using to test in. So you can export it to Python, JavaScript, curl, or whatever you want. Okay, now let's jump in and give a quick demo. Here we go. This is Postman. It's pretty straightforward. You have these collections here. You create a new collection for whatever your workspace is. And I have a collection here called Open Weather Map, and that's the example we're going to use. Openweathermap.org has free APIs. You can just open source APIs you can use, and just get some data about the weather in your area, or whatever area you're curious about. And I forgot, there we go. So you can see here we got a get request with that. And you can add new requests just by going here and what's going on here, and add request. And you can add a new request, and it's just an open type request, and you can do all these different types of things: delete, patch, put, post. We'll just do a simple get example here. And you can see here's the zip 97214 in US. And you can see it's right here in this key value pair here in the parameters. And if I do this, you can see it disappear from those parameters, and I add it back in. The app ID is needed for the app. I don't know. I did this a long time ago. I don't even remember why I need the app ID. But yeah, you just do that, hit send, and it gives you a result. You get the 200 OK, and it gives you a JSON results back. Or you can preview it if it gives you HTML. Yeah, usually I keep it in this JSON preview here. It's easier for me personally to understand everything. Yeah, and in addition to get responses, if I did this as a post, you could go over here and set things up for the body of the post as well. And I usually do raw and JSON, and then you can just put in your post and whatever data you wanted. So if this was a post instead of a get, you can do things like, oh, the zip is 97214. And, you know, just put in all your values that way in JSON format, and that sends it, if this was a put request, to the body. And the other couple ones to mention here are the auth. This one's doing API key, but we can do no auth. I usually do, if I'm setting up a whole bunch of APIs, I usually do inherit auth from parent. And, or you can just do them individual, like basic auth, which is username, password, bearer tokens, or JOTs right here. Yeah, whatever the API you're doing, whatever it needs. But yeah, if you wanted to set the parent, you go over here, authorization, and you can set up what type of authorization the apps need, and then you don't have to set it up for each and every different request. But yeah, that's basically it. There's a whole bunch of other cool stuff you do as well. Another thing worth calling out here is the scripts. So yeah, the output, you can actually store these in different environment variables. Right now I have this open weather environment variable, but you can set multiple environments, and this is helpful if you're testing in different areas. Like, hey, I have one environment that is production, another one that is staging, and you can set up these different environments, or your different environments could just be different, you know, setups that you have, and you just want to save all those variables. But those environments then have all the different variables that you can put in here, and you can add whatever key value pair you want in here, and it'll save it, and then you can reference it in your stuff. I'm not going to go through all that right now. I'm not going to go through using the scripts, but if you would like me to do that in another video, please leave a comment, and I will, and if enough people comment and wanting a video, I will do it, and I will show you how to set that up. But that's basically it for Postman. So if you're testing APIs and you're not using Postman yet, you're missing out. It has a ton of cool features, and the free tier does just about everything. It's really, really useful. The free tier is very generous. Just to mention a couple alternatives, or actually one alternative, Insomnia is another one I use. It also has a free tier that's very useful. I used to use Insomnia because it had GraphQL more built in, but I think Postman now also supports GraphQL. But check out Insomnia as well. It does a similar amount of things, but I think pretty much everyone uses Postman. So yeah, check it out. But APIs aren't the whole picture. Next, I'm going to show you a free tool that catches bugs that your functional tests miss. All right, let's talk about a free tool that tests for something that a lot of people forget to test for: accessibility. Axe DevTools, not Axe body spray. That's horrible. That's disgusting. Axe DevTools, which is not disgusting. It's very useful. Axe DevTools is a browser extension that helps you test for accessibility. It integrates with your browser's DevTools, and you can hit it off on whatever web page you're on, and it gives you a view of the accessibility issues on that page. And it finds a ton of issues. Contrast issues for people with special visibility needs, alt text stuff, ARIA attributes. It just finds a ton of things that trying to put that into a day-to-day test is really difficult. But the Axe DevTools, you can put this in your browser and just run it on a web page and see what happens. And not only that, they also Axe DevTools is so popular, they're actually used as the basis for other tools. So if you go to the DevTools for Chrome and run Lighthouse from those DevTools, it's built on top of Axe. So you're getting a lot of those same features in Lighthouse. But I kind of like how Axe DevTools just kind of give you everything in a really nice format. It's really easy to look through it and see what the issues are. Also, Axe, they have a lot of cool test extensions, so you can actually incorporate these Axe tools into Cypress, whatever JavaScript testing framework you have. It's very cool. Yeah, I've used it in different tests frameworks for other companies I worked at, and it's found issues. It's really nice. But right now in this video, we're going to focus on the extension for your browser and just going to give you a quick example of what it can find. And yeah, we're going to look at Amazon's website and see if it sees any issues. To get the Axe DevTools, you have to go to DQ's website, dq.com. And you look under here for tools. There's the Axe DevTools right there, but I go here for the Axe DevTools browser extension. And then on this page, it'll give you all the information you need to get it installed. Okay, here's Amazon's website. I just put this in a new incognito browser because I don't want you seeing my shopping history. But if you go to the browser extensions, this right here, the Axe DevTools, doesn't do much. It just pops open this thing. And so in order to see the Axe DevTools extension, you have to open up the DevTools. Go here to the DevTools, and you have to look for Axe DevTools. And then from here, you can initiate a full page scan. Awesome, look at all this stuff. It's found 70 issues. That's 70 freaking bugs you can open. But usually I found out you open one bug and put all these issues in there. That's usually, you get one bug out of it. Nobody wants to deal with 30 bugs. But look at it, it's cool. It just immediately goes and finds missing ARIA or unsupported ARIA attributes, heading levels, which I always forget about, alt text, which is very important to people with visual disabilities. Yeah, so a whole bunch of cool tools right here for free, and it lets you run it very easily. You don't want it to do a ton of set work in an automation framework to find this. Just run the tool and then you open up some bugs. It's a very cool, like, low-hanging fruit bugs. And as new as your website keeps getting updated, just put it on your calendar to run this tool every now and then. It comes up with some cool results. And oh, wait a minute, I forgot to show you the cool thing. So once you find all these issues, say this one, you can hit the highlight right here. Did I say highlight? Highlight. Click highlight. And see, it even gives you where, like, the CSS selector there highlights where it is on the page, so you can then drill down even further to see what's up. Ooh, that's where that is. And I love seeing that even Amazon doesn't have their accessibility story all together. Yeah, so just it's a really important tool because maybe I shouldn't go into this, but accessibility, there are companies getting sued because their sites aren't accessible. So it's very important that your company, not just to prevent getting sued, but to make sure that you're giving everybody a good experience coming to your website, people of all different abilities. So I highly recommend adding some type of accessibility testing into your process, and this is a good low-hanging fruit way of doing that. Again, this isn't just about compliance. This is just about making a very good website that's available to the broadest number of people. It's about building better, more inclusive apps. The best part? That extension's free. Gives you a lot of value, free. But what if you need to test for more than just accessibility? What if you need to know what type of load your app can carry? That's next. Next up, let's talk about load testing. Because no one wants their app to crash on launch day. You don't. K6 is a free, open source performance testing tool. It's designed to be simple, scriptable, and fast, with a focus on API and microservices testing. It's JavaScript based, so if you're already used to that, bonus. And it integrates with all your CI/CD pipelines. It's automatable. And a bit of truth here, I've never used K6. I was about to my last job, but it never happened. I've used JMeter before, but I've heard K6 is the new kid on the block that's a lot more easier and friendlier to use than JMeter. Though JMeter is perfectly valid as well as a load testing tool. But I'm going to see if I can scrap together a quick little demo of K6 just to get you started. I don't usually do a lot of load testing at work, but I would like to start. So this is going to be a learning thing for both of us. I'm going to see if I can do a quick demo of K6 real quick. All right, I just installed K6. I am going to show you, just so you don't make the same mistake I did. So you go to this k6.io, and then there is open source. And then you click download, and here's where I made the mistake. I just saw this and figured I had to log in to get the download. But no, this is for all the cloud services. So you want to do is click this OSS right here, and then go down to Grafana K6, and then it takes you to the download page. And pick your OS. I used brew install K6. So after installing, I looked up the instructions, and it's pretty easy to get started. So I'm just going to basically use the demo default stuff and just do a quick demonstration here. So K6 new, if you just do that by itself, it'll generate a script, or you can name it whatever you want. I'll call mine foo.js. And right here you see creates a new file. Then if you open it up, check this out. So it imports from that K6 library that you installed with Brew. And then it does a sleep and a check also from K6. Here is cool. So there's a ton of different options you can give, but VUS is virtual users. So you fill out this options and put in the virtual users, and you put in the duration that you want to run the test. This is 30 seconds, but I think for our purposes, we probably only run for 5 seconds just for this demo. And then here, yeah, it uses the K6 HTTP and gets this website. And I'm sure you can also use any type of API you want here instead of just the home page. And then you have a check. So I guess this is a check tool. Make sure that you're getting the right results on each of these checks. And then it sleeps for a second between each call to this. So basically you're going to pass this in, and K6, the app, is going to keep running this function over and over again for 10 different types of users at 5 seconds at a time. Okay, let's see what happens. K6 run foo.js. Gonna run for 5 seconds here. I like the little countdown right there on the... Cool, let's see what we got here. So it did one scenario, and we passed 100%. We did the VUs, and results, everything succeeded. Nothing failed. And I guess here, what is our metrics? I guess that's the important thing. And that's pretty cool. We got the average, the minimum, the median, the maximum. This is very cool. If you want to have your page have a certain response time, then these are very important numbers. So immediately I can just go into individual pages and wait for things and run it through K6 and make sure the load times of the page are just working. So that's already just a good test case, but you can also chunk in your APIs and get all the data here. And then, after you discuss with your team, like what the load time should be, just coming back here and saying, hey, run the test and say it either passed or failed that check. So this is really rad. This is really cool, and it's really easy to set up and run, and it's free. And apparently you can integrate this with your CI pipelines. So I don't know quite how to automate this with my scripts other than, or I guess you just run K6 and you can put all your scripts here. So very cool. I don't know how to handle multiple scripts, but I'm sure there is documentation on how to do all that. I'm impressed. It's very easy, quick and easy setup, a lot easier than it was to set up JMeter. Because, anyone who's tried to install Java on their machine, it's heavy-handed. If you're not load testing your apps, you're playing with fire. It could completely explode at any moment if you don't know what's going to happen if a lot of customers visit your site all of a sudden. But K6 is there to help you out, and it's free. But what about the data that all these APIs return? Testing that can be difficult all the time in a real world app. I think in the next one we're going to cover ways of handling all that data. Ever wish you could fire up a fake API server in seconds? Well, you can with Macoon. Macoon is a free open source API mocking tool. It lets you create mocked backend servers without writing a line of code. It's perfect for building out like front ends when you're still waiting on the back end, but for testers, it's really cool to mock out things and play with the results and see how the app reacts. So you can create custom endpoints. You can add latency to those endpoints. You can return whatever data you want from those endpoints. You can make whatever error message or error response you want, like a 404 or a 502. And they have a nice, easy to use GUI that you can just use and create things really quick and just turn on a little server. Let's jump into it and let me show you a little, just a small demo using the localhost API. But before I do that, just let you know, I have not used this tool before. I have not used it for mocking APIs in my job. So this is something I'm exploring and I would like to use in my job. So I kind of use this video as an excuse to look at this tool and see if I can mock things. So I'm still learning how to use it. So the next demo I give is extremely simplistic, but check it out. Here is Macoon's website, and it's just easy. Follow the instructions to download given your platform. And they have this cool little GUI right here. And it's easy to just create a new local environment right here, or open an existing one that you have. I created this new foo environment using their tutorial, which uses this the get method right here and calls a user's endpoint, and it's calling localhost 3001. So if you go to settings right here, you can see the API URL is localhost 3001. So cool. So this will go get, it'll be localhost 3001/users. And then you can choose the response, like right here. I want the response to be 200 OK, but you can choose from all of these different responses. Then I changed the header to be content type application JSON. Did that because the instructions told me to. And they also had the snippet to kind of show how their scripting works. And apparently this repeats this thing 10 times. So it's going to give you 10 users and it's going to fill the data with this stuff. And it looks like it has some fake way of generating all this data. So we should have 10 randomized users return to us whenever we execute this. Well, before we start doing that, we just have to click the start server. So let me go over here to Postman really quick. And I set up this localhost 3001 users. And I haven't started the server on that one yet, so I'm going to hit send, and the response is connection refused. And that's because I haven't started up that server yet. So if we go over here, click start server, go back to Postman, and hit send. Whoa, all that stuff. And you notice how it took a couple seconds? Let's see how many users, yeah, 10 users there. Notice how long it took 2 seconds. You can see that right here. We also added that a 2-second latency right here, and this is in milliseconds. So yeah, you can add all the latencies, and I'm sure there's a ton of other cool things you can add, but adding the latency is fun. I think that's a cool way if you're mocking an API and be able to see how your front end reacts when you screw with these settings. And yeah, just to demonstrate also, you can change that. Hey, we want to give a different, let's see, a 404 not found. And let's see, send it again. 404 not found. I mean, it still returned all this data because we have it set to return this data. If I comment out this data, does that work? Oh, it doesn't do comment out. Okay, I could do that, and then I hit send again. It waited 2 seconds and gave us nothing. No data. Perfect. And that's like the simple use case. I try to figure out how to get it to, like, say if I put amazon.com/something, I haven't quite figured that out yet. All right, so that was a brief look at Macoun, and that's useful for testing things that, like if you're just testing the front end by itself and you want to mock out the back end, or an API isn't ready yet and you want to mock it out and see and feed in error conditions, or just in general, you want to simulate errors and see how the front end reacts. This is how you would do that. And I'm sure there's CLI versions of this Macoun, and you can just fire it up alongside whatever you're testing. And if you want to mock that, then you can use that to set things up. Yeah, just let me know in the comments if you want me to figure out how to mock whatever endpoint, like say sethiscool.me and you know, or amazon.com or whatever, and just fake out whatever endpoint. I wasn't able to figure that out, so maybe I'll dedicate some more time. Just let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like me to cover in a future video. Okay, kind of speaking of mocking APIs, how about data? How about we want fake data and we want to generate a lot of fake data for a lot of different things? How would we do that? I think I'm going to tell you in the next section. Now let's talk about generating realistic data that's not real. I'm sure there's been a ton of times where you need to generate usernames, passwords, email addresses, avatars, cities, phone numbers, business mottos, company names. Well, there is a tool for this, and it's called faker.js or faker.js. You never say the dot, but sometimes I say the dot. Faker.js is an open source library for generating fake data. I've used it tons of times. It's always a lot of fun to play with and just have it generate all these weird, funky, random names. Yeah, I've used it for creating test accounts where they want you to like fill in the user's name, like phone number, address, all that good stuff. And I don't want to sit there and BS it when every single time my test starts. And sometimes I want to see if like different data kind of affects the app a little bit differently instead of just always typing in the same username, password over and over and over again. So Faker.js has just been a wonderful, fun tool to use. All right, so I'm just going to like share their site really quick instead of like actually going through a coding example, because I think you'll get the idea once you see the site. Okay, here is the Faker website, and go to get started, and it shows you a whole bunch of stuff. How to install it, just an npm install, and yeah, you can see right here, get faker.person.fullname, and it'll just give you a random full name. This one they're saying, oh, it's like Rowan or something. .internet.email, it gives you a randomized email with a different weird address, and there's different localization tools. But I mean, look at this. Let me go down here to the API and look at some of these modules here. Let me bump it up. Cool. So you got airlines, animals, books. Like, look at this. This is silly. Faker.airline to airport. And it gives you different airports, airlines, flight numbers, airplanes, seats. It's like everything. Every little piece of data that you can think of to like do some weird stuff with. Different colors, books, animals. You can even get like, what is it, music. Just generate random like artists and whatnot. This is really cool and really awesome if you're trying to test an app and you need to fill it with a bunch of random data and you don't want to do it yourself. So it's just something that just it prevents your brain from having to work and generate that data on yourself. And it's just a lot of fun. It's just something about it always makes me feel good when I use it. I can't quite explain what that is, but yeah, I always feel like a little happy when I see it working and generating all these names. But it also generates images and whatnot too. And I guess it's better to give like a little example here. And yeah, here is a Stack Blitz example that they gave, and it shows you right here on the right, you see like some of the random It looks like it's generating the same background image right here over and over again. But let's see if we can refresh that and have it do something different. Yeah, there we go. So you see, you refresh it, it's not doing the same thing every time. And all of this is fake data. You can see over here, faker image.url, faker name, faker phone number, faker street address, all of it's fake. And so it's really cool. You can just fill in all this stuff and get a lot of cool data. And look at this, localization. So it gives you it in different languages even, which is really cool for your like Unicode testing. Okay, so if you're tired of using really repetitive, boring things like Joe Foo at test.com over and over and over again, and you want a whole bunch of various data to give it that real look and feel, even though it's just fake stuff, Faker is the way to go. It's a joy to use. Okay, and if you want your UI to actually look correct, and you make sure you're testing that it looks correct, not just that the data is there. You want it to actually look correct. Stick around for the next section of the video, and I'll tell you how to do that. Finally, let's talk about visual testing. And this last tool is not necessarily free, but it is a freemium. But the base level is enough for you to start putting into your CI/CD and start doing a proof of concept in your app. It's pretty generous, like a few thousand snapshots that you can use. So as long as you don't go overboard, you can start putting this to play in your CI/CD at your job and start getting it going without paying a dime and get the proof of concept. So then your management, they can say, hey, cool. But anyway, let's get back to this. Visual testing is basically taking snapshots and comparing visually differences in a page. So if something changes in the UI, this will catch it, and it might not be caught by your regular functional tests. For instance, if an accident happened and all of a sudden all the elements on the page are rendered on top of each other, so they're completely blocking everything behind it, your functional test would be cool because all the buttons are still there, all the text is still there, but the user can't see it. And that's where visual testing comes in. It's like, hey, what's the visual difference? Is there a visual difference? And it'll alert you and let you review it. And Percy is very cool. I've used that and used both Percy and Applet tools. I say use Percy because they have a easy way of getting the free tool, the free version. You just sign up through browser stack, and then you can get the tool. You get your API, you can got it set up, and you can start using it. I am not going to show you a demo though, because if you, I got a point where the skateboard is, because that's how this works. There is a card right here pointing to another video where I do go into visual regression testing a lot deeper and give you a demo of Percy. Okay, actually I lied. I will just show you really quick like what a visual difference would look like in the Percy app, really quick. Okay, here we have a demo app from Percy. And we can see right here, it's done a baseline image here on the left, and then on the right, we can see something changed. And it highlights it right there in red. So you can just click on one at a time so you can kind of see, oh, here's that. And if you just want to get rid of that diff, oh, okay. Ah, all right. You can kind of see this whole sign in. So that would be a bug in your app, that suddenly the little link right here is gone underneath your login form. And it's really cool. You can also see it runs in Chrome, Firefox, and Edge, and it gives you different viewports. So this would be like a mobile viewport, and some different viewports. So if you have different responsive themes to your website, here's a way you can test them as well. And it's cool. You can do things like ignore regions and whatnot and edit these things. It's a lot of features. And yeah, the pricing, it's just really cool. The very, let me see if I can find the pricing really quick. Yeah, you can see right here, it has a pretty generous, you got 5,000 free monthly screenshots for your visual testing. So as long as you're not going overboard and doing hundreds of screenshots a day, you can use this and use it for like a month or so on just like a few pages and just to get a feel for it. Unlimited users, so you can get your boss, your coworkers to log in and look at what you're doing, and you can sell them on it. So I think it's a wonderful model right here. I kind of wish Applet tools would just kind of follow this model as well. Now, Percy is better than using just, I mean, everything has like little snapshots and comparing snapshots back and forth, but Percy, they upload the DOM of whatever you're testing, and then they render the document object model in multiple browsers on their servers, ensuring that it's rendered the same every time and that the images that you're getting are actually being compared in a way that is, you know, not going to change based on someone's laptop or screen or whatever system was running your tests at the time. Another cool thing is they started using AI to do it, so you don't get the one-off pixel differences. Like sometimes a little weird pixel is like maybe depending on the browser or something else, and then your stuff will fail because that one pixel is off, but you visually can't tell the difference. They add some techniques in there to give you some fuzziness as well as some AI to help it look like an eyeball, a human eyeball actually looking, or maybe two eyeballs. That'd be weird, just creepy, just one eyeball. Anyway, yeah, so a lot of cool tools, better than just you doing like a screenshot and trying to compare screenshots on your laptop. That is going to result in disaster for you unless you do a lot of coding. There are libraries for it, but it takes a bit of coding. But for free, this free tier for 5,000 snapshots a month, pretty darn cool. So there you have it. The best free tools for software testers in 2025. Now, these tools can handle accessibility, testing APIs, faking data, mocking data, and yeah, visual regression testing. It's very cool that the amount of stuff you can do and you can do for free. When I first started, none of these tools were available, so it's exciting to see all the cool tools coming out. And even better, they are free. I love free because sometimes it takes a long time to convince your company to get anything that costs money. Yeah, caveat, whenever you use free tools and stuff, make sure you are checking with your company to make sure there are no like licensing things, because sometimes things are free to use for you personally or on an open source project, but might not be allowed in a company. There might be licensing deals. So just triple check that stuff. Don't just go grabbing these, installing them and making, you know, not knowing if it's cool or not with your company. But that being said, you know, what did I miss? There are so many free tools. These are just a few that I grabbed that I think are really cool and really fun. It can do a lot of different type of testing. But get in the comments. Tell me what free tools have you used, or if you like these free tools and I didn't cover something about them, let me know, or drop a line that you want me to go more in depth with one of these tools. And let me know if there's another video you'd like me to make doing that. I'd love to help you out. Whatever you need, drop me a line in the comments. And if you want to go deeper, download my free guide, Top 5 Test Automation Best Practices. It's a quick and easy read. It's distilled some top tips that I've learned over the years into something, just a small handful of actionable things you can do today in your company. The link is in the description. Go down, click it, grab that PDF, right on. Now that you know the best free tools for software testers in 2025, bet you're wondering a little bit about GitHub Copilot. But where do you learn more about that? You're in luck. If you click this next video, it takes you to a video I wrote on GitHub Copilot. If you combine what you learned in this video with that video, it is so much more powerful. All right, happy testing. Goodbye.